Okay, I don't get on here very often anymore, but I think I've been really inspired. I just like went on a run in the woods, which is like where it's like when you take a shower and a lot of your thoughts clarify. It's like what running in the woods does for me. And I mean, I have a pretty strong political may not be the right word, but ethical, I think, is the correct word. I'm not super interested in politics except as an expression of human ethics. But I have a pretty strong ethical stance on a number of things. But I try not to get too drawn in too often to political conversations. However, I keep seeing over and over posts about, for good reasons, this idea of not all men versus yes, all men. And as I was running, it got like really clear to me. I mean, it was really clear to me as soon as I saw the argument. It's just not confusing for me what it means and why, and what it doesn't mean, and why it doesn't even make sense to assume. Like, why would you assume it meant that? Like, that is a you problem, not a problem with the existential reality, which is, yes, all men. You can't psychologically subdivide human beings from each other. We're all human. All males are male. And there's like some margins where the lines get a little more nebulous, which that's what creation does. That doesn't change the rest of it. There's nothing more empowering or vitally necessary than the recognition that as a human being, as a complex system of impulses and instincts that are survival driven and traumas that are collective and ancestral, there's nothing more important and essential to your own sovereignty than understanding absolutely, yes, you too. Yes, all men have agency. The only reason you would say anything different than that is fear of what men would think or do if they understood that. Or needing to appease men who feel threatened because you're afraid of what they might say or do in response, which thus then includes them in the category of a group of men you are trying to manage to keep yourself safe. Like, the statement, it precludes that assumption. Not all men. So, yes, all men. And I just, as a woman, because in my, I'm like, I mean, there's an important thing to see here, which is the reality of what certain biochemistry and certain survival drives have in conditions, in the social conditions we live in the paradigms, the hierarchies we live within, the systems of oppression we live with. They have a real impact. And real men who, under different conditions, would be behaving differently are being impacted in ways that cause those drives to express themselves in a negative way. Because society isn't comfortable allowing everyone to be as human as they are. That is the reality we live in. And to try to pretend that we're living in some other reality, I mean, go for it if that makes you feel better enough to live your life. But it doesn't make real, logical, grounded sense. And taking some kind of social sobriety and responsibility for the fact that we live in a system that creates criminals by nature of not just, right? It's not all men. It's the politicians. It's the 1%. It's those guys. They're creating all of this. You live your life every day. You interact with a world full of people every single day. When we talk about like embodying main character energy, you are the main character. So you are part of creating that world. And again, there's nothing more empowering than that recognition. I can cause harm. I can cause help. I can do either. And I think, again, as a woman, having given birth, having built something out of biological Lego bricks in my body, a little fetus has its little set of instructions and is pulling itself together. I was providing the material, and then that's a really detached way of looking at it, but it's also funny. And my kids are a little squeamish about that idea, but I'm like, it's just how it works. I don't know what to tell you. But I won't say more if you don't want to hear more. But then birthing it through your body and holding this incredibly vulnerable, fragile thing and realizing, you recognize it as hopefully if everything's working, you haven't been too traumatized. My first birth was really rough, but still there was a recognition, there was a maternal instinct kicking in. You understand that something in you just awakens, like, I could kill this thing easily. And you have to embody that knowledge, because without that knowledge, you can't care sensitively for it. You can't respond to its cries accurately. You have to understand that you can hurt it in order to help it. Just because I don't know if it's male or female. In my case, it was all males. But like you have to allow yourself that knowing. You have to admit it to yourself on some level. I think for a lot of women, all the hormones kick in and we just feel so loving. It doesn't even occur to us to do anything that would harm our child. And so I think it depends, but that's part of what's psychologically happening, is that you absolutely need to be rewired to protect this thing, meaning you have to understand that harm can come to it. But you don't want it to come through you. So I just wanted to say, and that's an incredibly empowering way to live your life. Even just lately when I run through the woods, becoming very aware that as I run through an environment, I'm having an energetic impact. Take that or leave it, depending on what you believe and what resonates for you. But I'm breathing air. I'm having, like a train of thought. I'm having a biochemical, I'm sweating, like I'm running past people. I'm, either moving a cute little redwood snail out of the path or running past one that got squished. It's like we have an impact on our environment, and we can debilitate ourselves with that knowledge. And I think that's partly why people preserve themselves from that idea. Like, oh, I don't really hurt anything. It's those other people over there doing all the problems, right? Because people can really moralize and sort of become masochistic about the harm they do. And hold themselves a sort of psychological prisoner to, oh, I'm so harmful and bad. That's humans. We all need a lot of help. The world we live in is evidence of a whole lot of need for some more recognition and support of each other, mutual love and support. And I think the last thing I want to say is that what I hear a lot of is a lot of frustration that I think makes a lot of sense, a lot of demand, a lot of a sense of wanting a reckoning. And while all of those feelings make a lot of sense to me, again, I just want to come back to the truth that there's nothing more empowering than recognizing your own agency. Because at that point, you don't need something from anybody else. You don't need someone else to give you justice. You embody justice. You are the justice you live upon the planet. And I don't mean that in a sort of vigilante sense. I'm thinking about Batman. But you begin to you hold yourself differently. You show up differently in spaces. You treat others with more care. You don't require other people to provide that for you in the same way. It just falls off as something that you're anxious about getting. And I feel like that also takes a whole lot of power out of the whole political system too, because we're no longer trying to use politics as a way to get as an ends to a means, or means to an end. Yeah. In my mind, it's It's a sort of dyslexia, but it works both ways. It is both ways. But yeah, I don't know. I just wanted to say all that because it's just, there's a lot of tension out there right now, and I don't always feel well equipped to address it, but also consistently reminded that I'm well equipped enough to address it and fail to often say anything when I could say something. So I may as well say something, and that's what I want to say about that. And again, if you're threatened by the idea that of all men, it is all men, because all men are part of a sort of global brotherhood. That's beautiful. That is a beautiful thing to acknowledge. I love walking through the world with that kind of knowledge. And all men get to decide what kind of brother they want to be. That is a gift of agency, not a condemnation or a what's the word I'm looking for? I'm going to say it wrong. An indictment? Yeah, it's not an indictment. But it is. Take it or leave it.